Three, two, one. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Monroe Mann here. Can't even say my name. Monroe Mann here. And we're going to talk about the fact that Trump just announced his running mate and other musings from your good friend here. So while we're getting things settled, I'm going to be plugging in my phone. I'm going to wait for the folks to start arriving because I've got a little bit of battery issues. Let me just check my battery. 16%, so I am charging things up. And we're going to be getting started. Boy, I still have little remnants of a cold here. A little bit frustrating. But we're going to move forward. So Donald Trump chose, what's up, online weirdo? Yeah, you're the first person. It's weird, I always have to wait 2, 3, 4 minutes before someone gets here. So great to have you here. Thanks for the like. Donald Trump chose his running mate today. It's JD Vance, Senator JD Vance from Ohio. And we're going to talk about whether that is a good choice for Donald Trump. Here are the reasons why, in general, this makes good sense. Number one, and we'll be going over this as we discuss. By the way, before I actually get started with that, online weirdo, how are you? What's going on? Where have you been? How is life? Hope everything's going well. That being said, I'm gonna go get a little something to drink because what's the little doggy doing? Hey, dancer. Okay. So Donald Trump picked JD Vance. Pretty wild, guys. Yes, it's hard to put this up against the wall. There we go. He's young. That's the number one. I'm all right. Thank you. That's the number one interesting thing first about JD Vance is that he's a young guy, 40 years old, 6 years younger than me. And look at me, I'm a pretty young guy. JD Vance is 40. If he's elected, he will be the third youngest vice president in the history of the United States of America. So that's number one. He's a very young guy. And one of the biggest things that people have been complaining about, what's up, Delaware? One of the biggest things that people have been complaining about with Trump and Biden is that they're too old. So, by choosing somebody who is more than half his age or almost half his age, I think Trump's about 76 years old, that helps to assuage a lot of people's fears that we're going to just continue to perpetuate older people in the Oval Office. But JD Vance is 40 years old. We have someone writing in Chinese. Let's see. Oh, 你觉得我是帅哥？你也是帅哥，可能你是美女。I have someone writing in Chinese in there, so I thought I would reach out and say hi. Trump has chosen somebody who is significantly younger than him. But in some ways, like me, JD Vance is kind of a Renaissance man. He comes from a difficult family in Ohio with apparently alcoholism in his family. He wrote a very successful memoir in 2016. He's a Marine, Iraq veteran. I'm an Iraq War Army, U.S. Army veteran. So I respect and salute him for his service there. It's good to have a vice presidential candidate who has military experience. JD Vance is also an attorney. He graduated from Yale Law School. He's a very good speaker. He is, what's fascinating is he used to be a hugely, staunchly, vehemently anti-Trumper. And he has since turned around to become one of Trump's biggest supporters, and not the fact that he was chosen to be a vice presidential his running mate. Very huge. This guy is writing in the chat in Chinese. 你会说中文呢？厉害！谢谢，你的中文也不错。 大家我是上海人，所以我比你很棒，对不对？My address is the internet. What's up, Mr. Waffle? Good to see you. And good to see my friend who is writing in Chinese. Delaware, Trump is in good shape, very good shape for someone that age. Very, very much so. However, I also think, I think as long as Trump is not assassinated, which certainly it was always a possibility, but now that this assassination attempt has actually happened, it's even a bigger possibility. I feel confident that if Trump falls ill or is assassinated, we have someone in JD Vance who can pick up the flag and keep driving forward. So it seems clear that JD Vance now potentially is going to be groomed to be the next presidential candidate for the Republicans. That could or could not be the case, but probably so. I think it was chosen for all of the reasons so that people would not have objections. He has military experience, he has combat experience, he's a lawyer, he's smart, he's a great speaker, and he's very young. And I think everybody was going to insist that the next candidates on both parties are young. And this means whoever the Democrats put up in 2028, age is going to be a benefit for the Republicans in 2028. Now, this is assuming, of course, that Donald Trump wins and JD Vance becomes vice president. JD Vance could still end up becoming the presidential candidate for the Republicans in 2028. That's certainly a possibility. But it's almost a certainty if Donald Trump and JD Vance win the election. Let me read some comments here. And look at where Joe Biden graduated from Delaware State University, lowest in class. Arts is asking me, Trump already picked his VP? Yeah, gospel check, Dom. Trump's VP is Senator JD Vance from Ohio. He's 40 years old. He's a Marine Corps veteran of the Iraq War. He's a Yale Law School graduate. And the team is now Trump Vance. It used to be Trump Pence. They just changed 2 letters. we got the same last 3 letters, NCE. Instead of Pence, PE, we got VA. We went from PE to VA. That's the only change, ladies and gentlemen. Arts also wants my social security number. It's 555-1212. And because someone else was writing in Chinese. He's writing in Chinese again. Let's see if I can get it. 你啊，我就是中国人。你会中文，我是万万没想到。你们在哪 I don't know some of this. 老天? No, 老子. Some of your Hanzi I can't read. I'm doing my best to read in the chat the Chinese here. I got part of it. Very cool that you're Chinese. Are you American Chinese, American-born Chinese? Are you living in China? Are you in the United States? 现在你住在哪里? James, how are you? Great to see you. Gosh, I have to read all this stuff here in Chinese. 听不懂。我在你们在拿他什么? Oh, maybe is that are those last 4 Hanzi? Are those a place? Maybe you can tell me. Maybe that's why I don't understand it, because it's the name of a city that I don't know. No, Biden did not die this morning, contrary to what you just read in that chat. What happened is Donald Trump chose JD Vance as his running mate. The Republican National Convention is about maybe 40 minutes away from, maybe even sooner. Maybe it's already happened, formally choosing Donald Trump as the candidate. So things are really kicking off. Thank you, Delaware. I love how it says, I saw your IMDb clips for your movies. It was great and outstanding. Why didn't you watch the actual movies, Delaware? But thank you for watching the clips nonetheless. Gosh, this guy is really trying to push my Chinese skills to the test right here. Trump 在中国拿都获了 some 拿照片拍 something 了。中国人都还喜欢特 maybe you're saying Trump or Biden. I don't know. Who do Chinese people like? No, that's not Czech. That's Chinese. Oh, you're in Shanghai, China. 我真的很喜欢上海. It was 1 a.m. in the morning. So, anyway, this is very, very fascinating. And everyone was up in the air about who Donald Trump was going to pick. And it ended up being someone that everyone said he would not pick because they didn't want somebody who might be able to steal the spotlight from Trump. So a lot of people were predicting it will never be JD Vance because JD Vance is a firebrand. He's loud, he's well-spoken, he's younger, maybe you could argue better looking. In some ways, JD Vance could be even more huge than Donald Trump. And so a lot of people didn't think that JD Vance would be chosen for that reason. But I think in many ways that's precisely why he was picked, so that he can pick up when and if he needs to from Donald Trump, whether it's because something happens to Donald Trump or because Donald Trump finishes his presidency and JD Vance then becomes the next president. For those of you just joining, you're wondering who am I and what opinion, why do I have an opinion? My name is Monroe Mann. I have a PhD in psychology. I'm a former criminal defender, public defender in New York. I have an MBA in finance. I'm a Bronze Star Iraq war veteran. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a business owner. I'm a TEDx speaker. So I'm not just some random dude here on YouTube. I think I have some authority to share my thoughts, and I'm grateful to be here with you, and I'm grateful that you guys are here with me. Thank you for clicking like. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. And by the way, any questions that you have in the live chat, when you post them there, I will eventually get down there and I will try to answer them as long as they're respectful and reasonable. So, Delaware did watch You Can't Kill Stephen King last night. So that's one of my movies. Thank you, Delaware, for watching it. I think it's a pretty decent film. I think it's a good film. Let me just turn on the... It's a little warm in this back room. I'm down in Florida, South Florida, and it's hot. Let me just get... AC just went on. I could probably take this off too. I was at the Miami Veterans Hospital today. That's where I get my medical care. Did some blood tests, and it's freezing inside. Well, every hospital, but it's particularly freezing in the Miami VA. So I always have to dress as if I'm going to some winter holiday to brace myself. All right, and we said my friend from Shanghai said, are you talking about Trump? I don't understand very well. I use the input method to translate. I may type in English, but I don't understand what you said. I said the picture of Trump raising his arms is very popular in China. All right, so I'm going to speak in Chinese a little bit because this gentleman doesn't speak English. So, 对，我说关于川普和万斯，他们是Republican 新的总统，可能美国的新的总统。我这个照片在美国也是非常重要，非常有名。我觉得这个照片在世界上到处非常有名。So I'll speak Chinese here and there just because I think this guy in Shanghai doesn't understand any English. Gospel Check Dom is telling me that I am the man. I am because my last name is Mann. Why do I have 2 N's in my last name? Because I am twice the man. And yeah, I wasn't really sure how I was going to feel with who the vice presidential pick was. And people were asking me constantly, who do I think is going to be the pick? And I had absolutely no idea. I don't think anybody had any idea. We just knew what the short list was based on what Trump shared with the world. Now we know it's JD Vance, and I think that is a powerhouse team. Now we have 2 combat veterans on this ticket. Why do I say 2? because JD Vance is a Marine Corps Iraq War veteran, and Donald Trump is now a combat veteran too. If you survive an assassination attempt as a presidential candidate, in my mind, you just became a combat veteran because you put your life on the line for the ideals of America and the freedom for which it stands. And that is why I, as a soldier, went to Iraq. That's why JD Vance went to Iraq as a Marine. That's why Donald Trump stood back up again after he was shot at. And as I said, most people, even those who went to Iraq or Afghanistan, did not get shot at. I did not get shot at by bullets. I got shot at by Chinese rockets, by improvised explosive devices, by car bombs. But thankfully, no one actually shot at me, and certainly nobody injured. No blood was drawn because of enemy fire. I was scared out of my mind sometimes when explosions happened and this and that, but Donald Trump in many ways saw more combat than I did. And I'm a combat veteran. So I just say that I think it's very interesting. I think Trump has earned the respect of a lot of people. I'm hearing a lot of people talking about that this was staged. And the first thing I'll say is, well, yeah, it was staged because it was a rally and Donald Trump was on a stage. So that's pretty much the facts right there. The sun is coming in here weird. Let me see if I can close that. Does that make it a little bit easier to see? Yeah. But it was not some manufactured assassination attempt. That is absurd. I could understand if Donald Trump were losing in the polls and everything pointed to Trump losing, then maybe some conspiracy theory might remotely make sense. But why, if you were in the lead, would you manufacture some type of shooting and kill and injure fellow Americans? I mean, that is just absurd. And anyone who is proposing that this was a staged attempt is, I think, very un-American. Now, I also say, as an intelligence analyst, should you research that as a possibility? Sure, you should investigate that. But that shouldn't be your immediate go-to explanation, that there was some conspiracy theory here. There are a lot of people who genuinely want Donald Trump dead because of the rhetoric, and that's what happened. And it inspired somebody to actually go after him. And as I said yesterday in the live stream, I'm grateful that he survived it. I'm also grateful that it happened. And hear me out. Only because the temperature of this presidential campaign has dropped dramatically now. We don't have Trump calling Biden names anymore, and we don't have Biden calling Trump names anymore. Neither. Both of them are far more respectful of one another. And that is simply delightful. And I am so glad that he's alive. And I'm also glad that I think these next 4 months are going to be very civil between both Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And let's keep an eye on it. But already things are even everyone on the media is treating the other candidate with more respect. And that's a really, really great thing. Let me see some of these comments here. And hi, Evelyn. Evelyn loves to call me Poopy Face. Good to see you, Poopy Face. Yasmin's here. Auto-tune, go to sleep. Gospel check, that's right, I like that. Trump and Putin, the Chinese like them very much. They're like heroes. We prefer this kind of person to our own president. I've lived in China, and I know many people support President Xi, President Putin. I also know a lot of people love America in China and love Donald Trump. So it's just like in every country. There are some people who like the president and some people who would prefer somebody different. And I know you don't understand English, so 对，在中国很多的人很喜欢普京和川普，他们是很忠的人，很讲，加油。You really look like you need sleep. I actually slept very well last night. Auto-tune 40, you look like you need to sing in tune. Evelyn says, Monroe, you won't believe what happened. I was eating my chips and a whole bowl of chip crust comes. That is mega rare. Chip crust. I have no idea what chip crust is, Evelyn. Jorge, heat advisory in Florida. Yeah. I've been hearing about these heat advisories throughout Florida. It's not that hot down here. At first, when I moved here the first summer and the second summer, it was just, ugh, because I'm from New York. I'm kind of used to it now. Look at me. I'm wearing a sweatshirt. And I was walking around outside in summer with a sweatshirt on, and that's just crazy. I'm still in a sweatshirt. And Gospel Check says I'm in Miami Gardens. So Gospel Check, I think you'll agree. They keep saying heat advisory. It's not that hot. Not that hot. Turn on your air conditioner. Stay in the shade. That's all you need to do. Drink water. Carly's in the house. I'm glad you're not in the hospital. Mel says that it's staged. Oh boy. The U.S. election. 美国人会投票。今年在11月4号。11月4号。今年. I was just telling him when the election is this year. And ni hao, Jorge. It's like a little ball of the crust. Mikhail's now writing in Chinese too. Oh my gosh, we've got a lot of people writing in Chinese. Trumpu, hi, Shidian, Tong. Some of those are a little different, Mikhail, because I think you said, did you say Trump and Putin? Some of the Chinese Hanzi, when it comes to names, I'm not very proficient in. Yeah, let's get some more likes going. We got 41 people here and 6 likes. You guys have been very dereliction of duty, just like the Secret Service and the local police 2 days ago. I'm reading, oh my God, it's so crazy. Everybody's blaming everyone else. Secret Service is blaming the local police, saying the perimeter, just as I told you. I told you guys yesterday. I said the problem happened because Secret Service were probably tasked with close quarter security and local police were charged with perimeter security. Now Secret Service is saying, well, that building wasn't under our jurisdiction. That was their job. And the local police are saying, no, it's not. No, it's not. Of course, who's in charge of this operation? Is it local police or Secret Service? So Secret Service cannot be passing the buck. If local police didn't do their job, it means Secret Service management dropped the ball and did not provide adequate oversight. How difficult is it to talk to the chief of police and say, hey, is every single building vetted? Yes, let's go. Is building A on this corner? Check. Is this building? Check. It takes 5 minutes to talk to somebody and say and make sure. So Secret Service dropped the ball. Well, again, but did local law enforcement as well? Of course. Just because your boss didn't tell you the right thing to do doesn't excuse you from not doing something that should be absolutely obvious. As I mentioned, the 3 years after I came back from Iraq, just walking around, I'd be constantly looking on the roofs. Why? Because I was still hyper vigilant from my tour of duty in Iraq, and I'm constantly looking to see, is there anybody up there that might be wanting to shoot me? So, not good. Let me look at some more of these comments here. And let's see. Comment. Trump for world president. No, definitely do not want Trump to be world president. I'd like him to be the president of the free world for the next 4 years. But after 4 years, according to our Constitution, he's got to go. And I think JD Vance, let's see, but I think he will rise up to the occasion and probably be a great standard bearer for the Republican Party in 4 years. Evelyn says, says I look very handsome today. Well, thank you, Evelyn. I appreciate it. Yeah, usually I just have a normal little t-shirt on and stuff. I'm wearing, I'd say that's one of the things I hate about living down in Florida. I'm always just dressed so casually because it's so hot. And I'm just wearing shorts and t-shirt. But as more and more people join, maybe I have to start dressing a little bit more professional. Maybe when I do something about politics or something like that, maybe I have to dress even more professional. Maybe I need to put on a shirt and tie. Or maybe it's better that I'm still somewhat casual. But thank you for the nice compliment. Is Trump's ear okay? I mean, maybe some of it was nicked off. I don't know if this tissue regrows, but you could see, I think it was the top of his ear that was nicked. Trump said that you can hurt my head, but not my ears, because I want to listen to the voice of the people. That's great. I didn't even hear that. That's a really great point. This is a popular sentence in the Chinese community. Really, I don't know if there's such a sentence in the American community. Oh yeah, I have to ask this guy a question. I want to ask him if he actually can understand English. 我的在上海的朋友，你能听得懂吗？你能听得懂我的英语？或者你只能听懂我的汉语？可以写一下吗？ So, Good Time says you were still talking about this. Yeah, this is a really great topic. And by the way, still talking about this is a brand new topic. Talking about JD Vance is now Donald Trump's running mate. And the world is still talking about this. So moving on. Try to see if you do a stream later, do a normal one and see if you get... Yeah, I'm going to do that. I was actually just going to do a music one earlier. But then it just came out that Trump chose JD Vance, and I figured let me just talk about that for a little bit and see if I can get a bunch of viewers, and here they are. He says, I can understand your Chinese. English depends on guessing. How many words can understand? Okay, Jorge is writing also in some Chinese here. 这是可以怎么请用英语回答为了其他人 What does that mean? 听不懂 I'm not sure if that makes sense. 为了其他人 Monroe, the face. What face? Is it a good face or a bad face? Yeah, I make weird faces sometimes. I'll tell you this, unfortunately, I think I have to take off this sweatshirt because the heat is coming in dramatically from the window here. And I need, it's slipping down. What do you guys think of JD Vance? I'm not getting any feedback from you on that. I'm curious if any of you have thoughts on JD Vance as the choice that Donald Trump made. You know, the camera does look weird today. I don't know if it's just from the light or something, but I'm not sure. When you're reading the comments, your head went down and your face was like, yeah, when I'm reading Chinese, my face, it's hard to read those characters, especially when they are so tiny on this phone. Oh man. Yeah, this is my room. I also have a work desk in here as well. I guess we don't have a lot of people who are interested in discussing JD Vance in the chat, but also what I also shared the other day, I'm really impressed with my commentary because all the things that I say that are probably going to happen end up happening, such as there's now word that when Trump does his speeches outside in the future, there are going to be bulletproof clear panels in front of him. That's the latest news to prevent something like this from happening. Of course, there's going to be certainly more vetting from security procedures. So that's great news. No room tour. Gospel says Trump Pence. Yeah, I joke that the only difference now between his running mate last time and this time is last time it was PENCE, now it's VANCE. So the only change is 2 letters from PE to VA. From Pennsylvania to Virginia. Jorge's writing, 我认识只是可以 I don't know the last 2 words that you wrote in Chinese. Something mianda. Something wanda. I'm not sure. Something is up with that. So anyway, that's really all I have to say about the Trump Vance thing. I think it's great that he's very young. I think it's great that he's a Marine Corps veteran. I think he's great that he's an Iraq War veteran. I think he's great that he's an attorney. I think it's very interesting that he was vehemently anti-Trump before, and now he's very pro-Trump. I think that's going to bring along a bunch of anti-Trumpers into the Trump fold because people may rethink Trump as a candidate, knowing that JD Vance is his running mate. And I think that is going to be a very good thing. Uh, you said it's avoid. Don't your pinion, avoid the pinion shishima. Pinion shishima. Or bujada jega hansa the pinion. What do you say that doesn't scare you? What do you mean gospel check? Tell me, what are you talking about that doesn't scare you? Nothing scares me because I have the cutest dog ever right there. Hello, little dancer. Yes. Dancer. Dancer. She's ignoring me. She's sleeping. Yeah, thank you for subbing and liking my channel. We only have 7 likes. I know we can get up to 10. And Adam, again, is saying Biden 2024. My honest opinion, you're welcome to support him. I don't think he's going to win. No, it doesn't scare me that Vance was anti-Trump because it was long ago. It was back in 2016, and it was to an extent in 2020, but Donald Trump Jr. and JD Vance have become good friends. And it was Donald Trump Jr. who convinced JD Vance to be considered by Donald Trump. And I really trust Donald Trump made some mistakes in who he chose in the past. When he was elected, I don't think he's going to make that mistake again. He had a difficult time with Mike Pence, and I don't think there's no way he's going to pick a vice presidential candidate who's going to cause problems like Donald Trump believes Mike Pence did. And what's up, Yasmin? Adam says you'll get there someday. Puppy, yeah, Trump 2024. What's up, country girls? And Monroe stole my dog named Dancer. I did not. You just wish you had a beautiful, cute little doggy like Dancer. And you can, but it just won't be Dancer. Might be cute, might be like Dancer, but certainly will not be Dancer. So yeah, I don't really think that we have to worry. I think it's going to be very exciting. I want to see a debate. I hope they're going to have a vice presidential debate between JD Vance and Kamala Harris, because that would be fantastic. And Callie says neither is Biden. Callie, what do you mean? I'd like to know what you're referring to when you say neither is Biden. Just let me know what you're talking about so I can respond intelligently to what you are saying. I've said this before, the only way that Trump loses, in my opinion now, is if somehow the many hundreds and hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants who have come over the border, it's actually millions, in the last 4 years, end up somehow voting in these battleground states. If we can prevent that from happening through proper voter ID, which is not racist and is not anti-poor people, I love it how they complain that it's racist to have picture voter ID, but it's not racist to have picture driver's licenses. Which is more important, to have a picture ID when you drive or a picture ID when you're voting for the president of the United States? So I'm appalled at any of these politicians who shoot down voter ID laws. That's just disgusting. Let me see. We've got Evelyn says, I'd say Trump will win because Biden something so much, and he's an old man, no offense, but he's too old to be president. But, I mean, you could argue the same about Trump, but Trump is about 4 years younger, and he's also in much better mental and physical state than Joe Biden. Why didn't it announce it at the convention? It would have been more dramatic. Yeah, Jorge, I'm not really sure. I was actually watching the convention, and then they just interrupted it with news that Trump posted on Truth Social that Vance is his vice president. Maybe, I'm thinking, there might be a reason for it. He didn't want the vice presidential, the announcing of the, that's the other thing too. Why did he announce, if he waited about 20 minutes, he would have gotten the official nomination, him being Trump, from the RNC. Wouldn't that have been the time to then announce it immediately after? Well, I guess they planned it so they wanted to give 20 to 30 minutes before Trump is the nominee formally, so that it's Trump, Vance together getting the nominee. I suppose that's possible. Adam says, I almost liked Trump until what he did after November 2020 election. I don't think so, because in many ways, I'm not convinced that the election wasn't stolen. I still have my doubts. I am not completely convinced that Biden won fair and square. And all Trump did was ask to verify that the election was fair. And I would hope anybody would want the election to be fair. I find it funny that when any Democrat questions an election, no problem. Look at Stacey Abrams in Georgia, constantly complaining that we need to recount, we need to recount. No one criticizes her on the left. But people are criticizing Trump because he wanted a recount. If our elections are not free and fair, then we are no longer the United States of America. We're no longer a representative democracy. So it behooves every American to want to make sure that every election is fair. This is why I don't know why anybody disputes the need for voter ID laws and requiring that you must show proof of citizenship, proof that you are legally here, and proof that you legally have the right to vote. If we don't have that, I mean, that is just absolutely crazy. That means everybody could just fly in illegally and vote. In which case, we're no longer the United States of America. We're the disunited states of the world. And frankly, I don't want to be the country of the world. I want to be the United States of America. Callie says, because they're both bad in some ways and not good in others. I agree. There is no candidate in the history of politics who is all good, because we are all human, and humans are fallible. And Kali, if you were running for office, there are going to be things about you that we love, and there are going to be things about me that you do not love. There are things I love about Donald Trump. There are things I do not like. There are things I like about Joe Biden, and there are things that I do not like about Joe Biden. In my analysis of Trump and Biden, the things I love about Trump far outweigh the things I like about Joe Biden. And the things that I don't like about Trump are far fewer than the things that I do not about Trump. Maybe, did I say that wrong? The things I don't like about Trump are fewer than the things I don't like about Biden. By the way, Trump just officially, I just got the news on my phone, just officially got the nomination. So congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it first here. Breaking news. It is officially Donald Trump and JD Vance running against Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And Joe Biden's still a good president. And one is much better conditioned to serve our country. The other is on stimulants because he can barely make it through a speech. 100%. This is why I'm saying, Carly, that the pros about Trump far outweigh the pros about Biden. And the negatives of Biden, in my mind, far outweigh the negatives of Donald Trump. Any of you are free to disagree. And as I said, if you're a Biden supporter here, you're welcome to be here. And I'm happy to have you share your thoughts in the chat. Maybe you can try to change my perspective. That's fine. But I'm not really trying to change anyone's mind. I'm just sharing how I feel. And maybe that inspires you. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just gives you another perspective. That's right. Evelyn says, remember to follow the rules, be respectful, be kind, no swearing, behave and act normal, don't be racist. We might want to change that, Evelyn, later, rather than don't be racist, because then as soon as you say racist, people start thinking about racist. I think it's better to be, you don't have to say that, just say be kind. If people are being kind, then they are not going to be racist. Okay. Yeah, you can time out. Yeah, good job, Rabbit Gamer, timing out that guy. Jorge, so it's Trump Vance officially, yeah? And honestly, I'm pretty excited, and I think pretty much, think about this. Think about the excitement level on the right for Trump Vance. It's through the roof. Excitement level for Biden Harris. I was just thinking, When every delegate from each state was casting their votes in the convention for Trump, you heard the crowd going, woo, right? I'm just thinking at the Democrat National Convention, I think that's coming up in August, when they give their delegates for Donald Trump, for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, I can just imagine going, yay, yay, because the enthusiasm just is not there. This is why they were trying to remove Joe Biden and put somebody else in. Maybe Kamala Harris, maybe Gavin Newsom, maybe I think Pritchard is his name. But the incident with the assassination basically solidified, in my mind, that Joe Biden is going to continue to be the candidate for the Democrats. So my projection is it is Donald Trump, JD Vance versus Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. Game on. Game on, because it has just started. Joe 007 says Republicans don't do anything. I agree. I don't like Democrat policies, but I love their chutzpah. Democrats get things done, and they pass legislation and they ram things through. That's kind of like me, Monroe Mann, because I love to make things happen. Republicans, I remember when Trump, I believe, first got into office, Republicans had the House of Representatives, the Senate, and the presidency. And they did nothing during those first 2 years. Democrats, when they're in office and they have power, they unify together and make things happen. When Republicans get full control of everything, they argue with one another and do absolutely nothing. What's going on with the lighting here? See? Oh yeah, see, it's not. I thought my camera was broken. No, see, it's not. It's just the strange light and reflection coming in. Let me see. I think I have enough battery that I can go back to my rocking chair. Let me check battery. Well, I got 70%, which is great. I can unplug this battery pack. And Peaches for President says, do you support Project 2025? I don't know enough about it to know whether I support it, but I can tell you what it is. Project 2025 is an independent research project of the Heritage Foundation, which is a conservative think tank based in Washington, D.C. I actually interned there for a semester when I was a student at American University, so I know what they do very well. What Project 2025 is basically just a collection of talking points and proposals for whomever the next Republican president is. So Donald Trump did not create Project 2025. Heritage Foundation is presenting Project 2025 to Donald Trump as a potential guide for him to make the most of his presidency. And Donald Trump has publicly disavowed Project 2025 and said, I agree with some of their points. I disagree strongly with many of their points. And I don't know when I was going to look at it, but then I went online. It was something like a 800-page PDF. And I said, ugh, I don't want to download an 800-page PDF. I think they should create a summarized Project 2025 in 25 pages. And I think that would be more palatable for the American people to read. And Peaches for President. Peaches, you got to stop. Guys, if you guys want to leave a comment, you can leave it once. If you keep leaving it over and over again, you're going to get moderated out of here. I get to the comments, but I get to them when I get to them. I'm not reading through them in real time. Yeah, thanks, Rapper Gamer. Dude, Peaches for President, I'm just reading your comments right now, so have some patience. That's another problem that with the left, they don't have patience. I don't know if you're on the left or if you're on the wacky right, but whoever you are, just chill out, and I'll get there soon enough. By the way, I already got there and explained it, so enough. Joe 007 says the only Demo I would vote for is Tulsi. Yeah, I think Tulsi Gabbard is the traditional Democrat from the 1980s, 1990s. Kind of more like that JFK Democrat. Many on the left today do not resemble the Democrat Party from 20 years ago. And they've just gone completely bonkers off the wall to the left. And some people on the right have gone to the right. But if the right have moved one foot to the right, the left have moved 3 to 4 miles to the left. And that's what Elon Musk said when he posted that meme or that diagram last year or 2 years ago saying, nothing about my political views have changed. The political views of those on the left and the far left have gone so far left that now I am closer to what conservatives believe. But it's not because the conservatives have changed their views or I've changed my views. It's that the left have moved the goalposts so far to the side that it makes normal Democrats seem more conservative. And that's why Elon Musk said, I'm supporting Donald Trump. 20 years ago, Elon Musk would have been a Democrat, maybe even voting Democrat. But now he's voting. I mean, the left and the Democrats have become anti-business, anti-America, anti-police, pro-illegal immigrant. And I mean, it's just really very, very wacky. And I don't understand it. I try to understand people on the left and why they think that way, and I don't get it. I have no idea. I worked as an immigration attorney for a year here in Miami, and my colleagues would always say, oh, they're just trying to get a better life for themselves. That's why they came over the border illegally and this and that. And I'm saying, so look, I'm not rich. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment here in Miami Beach. So, and I'd like to help my mother more. I'd like to help Dancer more, right, Dancer? Yes, right? I want to help Dancer. I want to give Dancer a big, nice doghouse. So why don't I just go and rob a bank? I'm not hurting anybody. I'm only going to take 1% of every bank account, so it's not really hurting anyone. And I'm doing it just because I want a better life for me and my family. And when I say that, they go, no, that's different. No, it's not different. You are breaking the law for your benefit at the expense of other people. And I couldn't work as a litigation immigration attorney anymore because I just felt sick to my stomach. Because a lot of these people really did not deserve to become green card holders. They didn't deserve to get parole in place. They didn't deserve to get a green card. They didn't deserve to get citizenship. And I think our citizenship rules are really bonkers. There are few and far between of the folks who come over the border illegally who deserve it, who deserve citizenship. But our laws are just backwards, and the left supports this. And as Elon Musk said, it's the only logical reason is they want to get more people here that they can put on the left voting rolls who will vote for leftist candidates. It's not because they care. If they really cared about their safety and welfare, they would prevent them from taking that horrible, perilous journey up through Central America and Mexico to come to the border. Apparently, there are about 70,000 got-away children. When I say got-away, in that they put them in the charge of some random family, and now they call the phone numbers that they were given, and nobody answers the phone. So the Biden administration has no way to find any of these children. And that is scary. If there is even one child who cannot be identified, close the border. But no, the Biden administration keeps letting people come over the border illegally. And I completely support building the wall. There's nothing racist about it. It's about protecting America first. And anyone who does not want America first, you are not an American. And I applaud that if you live in France, or you live in China, or you live in Zimbabwe, or you live in Mexico. Of course you don't want America first. You want your country first and your family first. But if you are an American, it's got to be America first, 100%. Hi, Freddie Sawyer, Dilip, good to see you. hello to India. TRG, Gospel Check. They want, so the left pulled the right with them. Thank you for liking. We're almost at 10 likes. I appreciate that. How do we know that the election results will be valid? James, I have absolutely no idea. As Elon Musk pointed out, it is very possible to go back to paper ballots. Paper ballots is the only secure way to ensure that the election is fair. We need to have election observers. We need to make sure that the ballots should be counted right then and there. I mean, there are so many safeguards that we could put in place, but instead we're keep moving towards digital voting, which is, I think, bonkers. I'm a web developer. I know about security. I know Ruby on Rails programming, JavaScript, Flutter, all that. I would not trust voting to look at the likes on here. The likes go up and down. Sometimes look, how many likes does it say that I have? I bet you it says that I have 12 likes to you. My screen, it says 11. But here it says 11 votes. So it's a very interesting thing. I don't trust that type of digital voting at all. And Jorge says I should do a walking live stream. I've done some of those. Maybe I'll do some of those again. Absolutely. Robert Gamer, make sure you're using proper grammar if you're going to be a moderator. I will not tolerate bad grammar by people, quote unquote, volunteering with me. It's YOU''RE. You got to be the leader here. And yeah, 11 likes. Adam says, why not make voting 3 or 4 days and give people the day off? I don't think it should be 3 or 4 days. I do agree people should get off work to do it. It should be in-person voting, 1 day, and you either show up and vote or you don't vote. The only exception being someone who is overseas with the military, or if you work for the State Department and you're overseas and you go vote at the embassy. But this mail-in voting, absurd. Online voting, absurd. Digital voting, absurd. I also agree with what Australia does, where if you don't vote, you get fined $100 in a national election, and if you don't vote again, you lose your driver's license. At least that's what it was the last time I checked. And that would at least force more Americans to participate in the electoral process, rather than whoever wins the election only getting votes from like maybe 1/4 of the entire country. And Evelyn says, you're Monroe. Okay, Evelyn, you got my name wrong. It's not Monroe. Thank you, Evelyn. Joe 00 says this, I'm a truck driver. It's hard for me to vote. I totally get that. And this is why I'm saying that there should be a way that everyone gets time off to vote. And there should be, if we had national voter ID, some form of ID like that, then you could potentially vote at any polling place. Well, again, that opens another can of worms too. I understand your point, but guess what? I think that everybody should get the day off. So your company would have to make sure that every driver is in his or her home state on November 4th. That's the only way to do it. I think that's the way to do it. This thing is constantly giving me a bad connection. What I think there should be is, as I said with Australia, I think in Australia, if you don't vote, you lose your driver's license potentially. I think there should be a penalty if you don't vote rather than an incentive. I think the incentive should be that you get to vote. Nocturnal says giving people the day off only works in industries that can be off for the day. Doesn't apply to many critical care roles like healthcare. Okay, that's good. So we're coming up with solutions here. So maybe then it should be over 2 days. Maybe we could do it over 2 days. And if that's the case, the hospital can make sure that some people who are working on this day vote on Tuesday. People who are working on Tuesday vote on Monday. I think that's fine. Or I also think there is a solution to this. It's not about finding reasons why it can't work. It's just finding all the ways that it can work. And we shouldn't be looking at all these reasons and going, oh, this is why we should have mail-in voting. No, because it's ripe with fraud. And we don't want to make it easier for people to cheat. We want to make it easier for people to vote legally. don't know, this is really bad. Why it keeps disconnecting me. Titan Brew says, otherwise, an honest politician with goof policies and ideas doesn't need to make voting harder to win. The ideas and policies make them win. And Titan, can you explain that a little bit more? I understand what you're saying, but in what context? Can you rephrase that just so I understand exactly? And I think it might make it clearer for everybody else in the live stream. TRG, Evelyn for me. Adam says, mail-in voting has been around for years. You don't get to vote twice. They cross your name off the list when your mail-in arrives. Adam, that is somewhat true. That's how it should work in theory. But there have been numerous cases of numerous mail-in voting ballots being sent to people who are dead, people who have changed political parties, people who have moved out of state, people who have already voted. It happens all the time. This is why there should not be multiple ways to vote, because there are too many risks that something could slip through the cracks. It cannot slip through the cracks if you have to show up, show your voter ID, and then it gets crossed off the list. And boom, that's it. What about people who are hospitalized? I think there could be voting in hospitals. Why is that such a big deal? There were solutions to this. Look, they were doing this for, oh, by the way, and all these things, all of these objections, it's not like 100% of Americans vote in every election. 1/3 of America votes in every national election. And guess what? It's not because they were hospitalized or they were working or this or that. It's because they didn't care. And anybody who wants to work, wants to vote, can. I've said to my bosses that I'm not coming. I'm coming to work 3 hours late because I'm going to go vote. There's no boss that's going to say no. That's just absurd. Of course you can go vote. And if any company says you cannot go vote, that company would be lambasted in the media when that was brought to their attention. So we need to stop coming up with reasons why it can't work. It worked for hundreds of years, people. It's not like we've been doing digital voting and mail-in voting for 250 years in the US. Mail-in voting was not a thing for many, 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 many decades. And I don't think we should have that. Did you know the Titan submarine only has 1 hour of oxygen left? That is fascinating. Is this another one of those submarines with a bunch of stupid billionaires on there? They learn no lessons. I feel bad for them as a fellow human, but as someone who is a skydiver, a scuba diver, who has been in life-altering situations, in both of those situations, I've had my parachute have a problem where I had to get rid of my main and use my reserve once. When I was scuba diving once, I ran out of air underwater. When I was in Iraq, I got into many harrowing situations. I would never go into one of those submarines after what happened to the other one. So I'm very curious to go look at the news to see if that is the case, careless self. And Jorge says it doesn't take a whole day to vote. No. Anytime I voted, it's taken me less than 15 minutes. You go in and out. So all these people giving all these excuses, it's a bunch of baloney. The only person is maybe Joe 007. He says, I'm often on the road, or whoever said I'm working in healthcare. But you can still go on your lunch break and vote. Big deal. You have an hour lunch break, you go vote for 15 minutes, and then you go eat. People say, oh, but no, I don't have time to eat and vote. Pack a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in your bag with a juice box, go to the voting place, and then go eat in your car. Enough excuses, people. I mean, this is me coming from my military background, and I even have on my arm right here, Mei Jiako, which is no excuses in Chinese. That's a big part of my life. Stop coming up with excuses. If you want to vote, you can find a way to vote on election day. And if you can't find a way to vote, then you're one of those 200 million people in America who don't vote anyway. Think about that. Only 1/3 of Americans vote. And it's a poor argument to say, oh, if we had more mail-in voting, if we had digital voting, we would then have more people voting. No, the people who want to vote figure out ways to vote. I have found a way to vote in every single election that has happened, no matter where I was, no matter where I was living, no matter what job I had. And I've had jobs in every single field. Military, I've worked as an EMT, I have worked as an attorney in many different capacities. I worked as a waiter, I worked as a salesman at J. Crew. What else have I done? I've worked as a beach lifeguard. I've always found a way to vote. It's not that hard. So Jorge, a very good point. It doesn't take a day to vote. And it's not in your humble opinion, and it's in your accurate opinion, Jorge. It doesn't take long to vote, ever. And Nocturnal says numerous cases is still a tiny percentile. Doesn't matter. Any case of voter fraud is too much. We should not allow even one case of voter fraud just in the name of convenience. Unacceptable, Nocturnal. Unacceptable. And Adam says you only get a mail-in ballot if you request one. That's not true either. People have been getting mail-in ballots all the time when they should not have been. This has happened numerous times. Just do some research on instances of when batches of mail-in ballots were sent to people when they did not even request them. I once got I got a absentee military ballot once, and I wasn't even deployed. So even absentee ballots for military people need to be addressed too. And I'm an Iraq war veteran. And Joe says Puerto Rico should be allowed to vote for president. They don't pay federal income taxes as far as I know, Joe. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I think if once people in Puerto Rico are an actual state and not just a protectorate, once people in Puerto Rico have the same taxation requirements as Americans in every capacity, once Puerto Ricans are considered full Americans across the board, I know you have an American passport, and once you start to consider yourself as true Americans, many people in Puerto Rico still think of themselves as Puerto Rican. They don't think of themselves as Americans. And so there still needs to be a lot worked out in that issue with Puerto Rico. I mean, Guam is a protectorate too. It's the same thing. Marshall Islands, I think, is another one. There are a bunch of them. But I don't think that it's not an apple-to-apple comparison at the moment. And Rapper Gamer says, I'm shamed. Sorry I failed you. Nocturnal, if I go kayak with you, you will have to present evidence. What type of kayaking? How do you know that I have a kayak, by the way? Or maybe you've been here before. I think I've seen your name before. I will have to present evidence. Present evidence of what? That I have a kayak or that we went kayaking together? And why would I want to go kayaking with you? Who are you? Billy Bob. Evelyn. Okay. Puerto Rico cannot vote for president. That's right. And why do my comments keep getting deleted? I haven't seen any of your comments getting deleted. I don't think I've seen them getting deleted, so I'm not sure what you're talking about, Adam. I keep seeing your name and I keep reading your comments, Adam. As far as I see, nothing that you said has been bad, unless the moderators found something. And let's see. Nocturnal says you cannot leave on your lunch break, Monroe. The reality is mail and online voting is where we are as a society. That is absurd, Nocturnal. It's absurd. I was in the military, right? And I was able to always vote. And if I were in Iraq during a presidential election, I would be able to vote. And maybe there's mail-in voting, but that's because I was in a war zone. Working as a doctor and working in healthcare, you're not in a war zone. I'm in pre-med right now and stuff like that. Guess what? I will tell my boss, I am going to go vote. Fire me if you want to. And if you care enough about voting, you go vote, Nocturne. You go vote. Which is more important, your job or voting for president? I don't think you should have to make that decision, which is why I'm saying I never make that decision. I go, if you're going to fire me, that's fine. I'm going to go vote. I'll be back in 2 hours. And guess what? I would file a lawsuit against that company if they fired me because I went to go vote. And that would become such bad publicity for that company that they would go down in flames. Now, I agree, Nocturnal, you shouldn't have to make that decision, but I have never met very many, if anybody, who has to make such a decision. But if they choose to have their job rather than vote for president, they made their decision. For me, voting for president, far more important than any job and any income. And if you say, well, I can't afford to lose my job, well, then you're not saving up enough money. I was able to quit my job as an immigration attorney 6 months ago because I save up money like crazy. And then I was able to find 2 private legal clients, and now I'm good until fall. And one of the legal work for one of those clients is done, and I'm almost finished with the other one. No excuses. If you want to vote, you go vote. That's what I say. and I don't like, it's your argument that is making all these people believe that we have to have mail and online voting. I don't trust either of them. And Freddie Sawyer, I'm moving to Florida to be my neighbor. That's great, Freddie. Mayo Leo, says Jorge. Titan Brew, my wife travels for work. She could be hours away from the polls on election day. She won't be able to get her voting district to cast a vote. Then shame on her employer. And with all due respect, shame on your wife for not putting country over profit. I honestly believe that, and this may be an unpopular opinion. But if you care about your country, voting for president should be the number one thing that you do on election day. And I think people should be rearranging their schedule, rearranging their jobs, and rearranging their incomes around voting for president. Not we making it easy for everybody to vote because they're so, quote unquote, and again, I'm not being unpatriotic, that they are focused first and foremost on their jobs instead of focusing. And you could say family first, but well, no, in some ways it's got to be country, God, country, family. Maybe that's unpopular. Most people say it's family, God. No, but it should be God, family, and job. Maybe, I don't know. But I will always find time to vote. And I will quit a job if they say, I'm sorry, you're on the road, you need to be working that day. I go, no, I'm not, Marty. I'm voting, so find somebody else. Or I'm going to the press. I'm going to make it very clear that what you're doing is terrible. Everybody's so scared of losing their jobs rather than sticking up for what is right. Stick up for what is right. I quit my job 6 months ago because I had to stick up for what is right. I could not in good conscience support helping all these people who came over the border with no regard for the laws of the country. And they still don't even speak English. That'll get me off on another topic. Really upsets me. You come to America illegally, you refuse to learn the language, but you want to become a citizen here. Crazy, guys, crazy. And we do also have a senator, performance. That's fine. In Puerto Rico, you may have senators and stuff like that, but Puerto Ricans are not full-blown apple-to-apple Americans. Again, that's another controversial topic, but the truth is you're not, because you're not treated like full-blown Americans. And if you want to have that full vote, I think Puerto Rico, and I know a lot of Puerto Ricans do want to become a state, but there are also many Puerto Ricans who do not want to become a state because Puerto Ricans have a lot of benefits too. They get to serve in the U.S. military, but they don't need to pay the same taxes that Americans do. Mainland/Alaska, Canada, Americans do. Titan Bruce says restricting voting opportunities makes it harder for Americans to participate. I don't want more participation in general. I want more participation from legal voters. And if making it easier for Americans to vote is also making it greatly easier for illegals to vote, then no, we should not make it easier for Americans to vote. It is not hard to vote, guys. Seriously. Go to your voting booth, find a job that allows you to do that. Don't take a job until you say, by the way, I'm taking off on election day. And if they say no, you don't take that job. If there is any job that will not give me time off to vote on election day, I quit. 100%. That's it. End of story. Because voting for president matters to me as an American. Change my name from my actual name, but the photo is the same. Oh, I don't remember the photo, Nocturnal. I'm so sorry. You'll have to remind me what your other name was. Rabbit Gamer, Ricky, he didn't make you dumb. That was you already. Roasted. Peaches says, am I blocked from commenting? Clearly not, because you just made a comment. Titan Brew, if they choose to maintain their source of income to support their family, you know what the choice would be, supporting their family, not voting. Well, again, I'm really good with my money, and I save up a lot. And I'm good at investing. You guys can look at my website. It's investlikeaninvestor.com. I think ahead. To me, my family and paying my bills is just as important as voting for my country. And so I make sure that I can quit a job if it doesn't jive with my other requirements in life. And so, Titan Brew, I would recommend that you and your wife start saving up enough money so that if any of your jobs interfere with you voting, you can quit without it impacting your family. Or start looking for a new job, a new position that is more pro-American. Any company that does not allow you to vote is anti-American, hands down. And I'm sorry that you work for a company that is, or your wife works for a company that is so anti-American that they will not help you find a way to vote. And Titan Brew, that's where we have mail-in voting here in Florida. Again, I mean, I live in Florida here too, and I don't like it. I don't like it. Peaches for president, by law, every American should have to vote. Regardless of convictions, employers should be required to give the day off. I agree with everything you say with one qualification, Peaches. By the way, thank you for clicking like, everyone. Thank you for subscribing, turning on the bell. Appreciate it. I think every educated American, every informed American should have to vote. I don't think someone should be forced to vote and they know nothing about either candidate. If you ask some people about why do you support Trump or Biden, sometimes their reasoning is completely off the wall and is not based on reality. Some of them have no idea whatsoever. Some people don't even know who their senators are or who represents them in Congress. And I think there should be some type of test that every voter should have to take to become a registered voter. I think that should be a requirement. Just as I mentioned earlier, I think there should be a test before you can run for office to show that you understand the history of that city or the history of that state or the history of your country. Makes you understand the political system. So many people on the left and on the right say that we live in a democracy. Trump is a threat to democracy. We don't live in a democracy, people. We live in a representative republic, not a democracy. Look up what democracy is. That was a form of government in Greece where every one person, one vote. That means all 300 million Americans would give a vote, and every decision that happens is based on that. Should we put a stoplight on the corner of Main Street and First Avenue? Let's have all 300 million Americans vote for this stoplight in one small city in America. Doesn't make any sense. That is democracy. We don't live in a democracy. And a full democracy is kind of chaotic. It is crazy. I do not want to live in a democracy. And if I hear it one more time that, do you support democracy? I don't live in a democracy. And if you understand what I'm saying, you can click like, by the way. Because now you're learning something, that we don't live in a democracy. It would be absolute bonkers. Nothing would happen. And that would be what's known as the tyranny of the majority, which if you read the Federalist Papers, James Madison was one of our founding fathers. He was also one of our presidents. Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Adams, Madison, Monroe. And then Adams again. James Madison was one of our presidents, and he wrote something called the Federalist Papers along with a bunch of the others. And he talks about the tyranny of the majority. And that's why we have our system the Electoral College, which a lot of people criticize. But it's a brilliant, brilliant system. It's not archaic. These guys were so smart. They knew that if we allowed the majority to control, it would be tyranny, not of a king, but of a majority of the people, where the minorities never get any voice. And that means the very small states like Rhode Island, Maryland, Wyoming, Montana, which have very minuscule populations, would have nothing that they want would ever have an impact on American politics. Because of the Electoral College, those small states, the citizens in those small states have a say on who is elected president. It is brilliant, the Electoral College. And the people who want it dismantled don't understand it, or they do understand it, but they want to pull the wool over the eyes of the people who don't understand it. Where do most Democrats live? New York City, most populous city in the country. Los Angeles. Where else? Let's think. Chicago. Philadelphia. I mean, we're talking the masses of the United States. Portland, Oregon. Seattle, Washington. Huge cities, huge populations. If we had a strict popular vote, very often the Democrat candidate would always win, because the left controls these major cities. That's where the major population centers are. And the most people are voted, the people who vote in many cases in these cities. So then guess what? People who live in Kansas, their vote would never matter. People who live in Wyoming, vote never matters. People who live in the heartland, farmers, people who grow our corn, people who grow our wheat, don't their votes matter? And the answer is they should, and currently they do, because of the Electoral College. And maybe I'll talk about the Electoral College as a whole other live stream later. But don't be so quick to try to get rid of the Electoral College. It's one of the reasons that America is the amazing, exceptional, great nation that it is. And so Nocturnal says, working for a hospital and during a shift, you don't just leave. I've waited for hours to vote. In 2016, I was working as travel nurse out of state, and mail-in was the only option. Look, here's the thing. Again, Nocturnal. I'm not saying that mail-in should not be an option in particular circumstances. But there needs to be a very narrow band of eligibility for people to use non-in-person voting. We should make it very hard for people to do mail-in voting. Meaning, the only time you could do it is if you're working in healthcare, maybe you are a trucker, and truckers are amazing lifebloods of America. Without our truckers, without our rail, we wouldn't have most of the things that we have in our refrigerators, our computers, our televisions, our couches. So I get that. Deployed to a war zone. But they're trying to make mail-in voting for everybody, where you don't even have to show eligibility. Now it's you just have to ask for it because I'm a lazy American. Now, you don't get to vote mail-in because you're a lazy American. You should get to vote mail-in because you're doing a great service to this country. You're in the Peace Corps, you're in the military, maybe you're working in a hospital, maybe you are on the road. But only if you've exhausted every possible way for you to be in-person voting. So if you work in a hospital, you should have to get an actual letter from the head of the hospital saying there is absolutely no way that this nurse can be available on November 4th because we have an amazing blah, 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 whatever it is. But I still find it very hard to believe that hospitals cannot change the shifts from, let's say, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. to instead doing it from 3 a.m. to 3 p.m. for shift 1 and 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. for shift 2. That's a 12-hour shift, and the polls are open during both of those periods. Where there's a will, there's a way. You can find solutions in any way, shape, or form to figuring out a way to make this work so that everybody can vote in person. I want to really see who that nocturnal person is because apparently I know this person. Let me see. No, it won't let me visit the channel. I really want to know who it is. Titan Brew says, your selfish way is why we have such little participation. I'm sorry you believe that I'm being selfish. I think I'm being a great American by trying to ensure that we don't have illegal voting in America. I think you're being very selfish, Titan Brew, by saying your vote is more important than risking 3 illegal votes. No. If we get 3 illegal votes for every legitimate mail-in vote from an American, that is not me being selfish, that is you being selfish. And if you really think about it logically, I'm right. The only way you can have greater participation in voting is if we can eliminate any illegal voting by doing so. And it's not going to happen. The more participation we create in voting by making it easy for lazy people and or un-American companies who refuse to give their workers time off or give them schedules, it's just going to allow for legal voting. And I'm sorry, I will never back down. You can call me selfish if you want, but I honestly think you're the one who's being selfish here. With all due respect, I love you and I appreciate you being here on this channel. So it's not me being upset with you. And I hope you're not upset with me. We're just having a friendly discussion. Peaches says, I'm very privileged. You don't have to clock in for a job. I did. For a whole year, I had to clock in every morning and every night. It was so horrible. It was very, it made me feel very horrible. It makes everyone feel that way. I quit that job because I have self-respect. I said, I'm not going to clock in for a job anymore. Your attitude, Peaches, is you're refusing to take responsibility for your life. You're calling me privileged. And no, I took control of my life and said, I'm not clocking in anymore. There's a big difference between me being privileged. I'm privileged because I saved up a lot of money so that I could quit my horrible job as an attorney where I was being forced to clock in. Peaches, you should start saving up money now as well, however long that takes, so that you can quit your job where you have to clock in and clock out. I'm in pre-med now. Maybe I'll go to med school. Maybe I'll get accepted as a resident somewhere. Guess what? I'm gonna have to do clock in, clock out. Dr. Mann clocking in, Dr. Mann clocking out. Just because I don't have a job where I clock in does not make me privileged. I love these comments. It's very, very funny. Be your own boss, that works for you, but I agree with others. Restricting voting isn't the answer. We're not restricting voting. We're making sure that only people who are eligible to vote are eligible to vote. There's a big difference. There's a big difference between restricting voting and ensuring that eligible voters are the only ones who can vote. People misinterpret this idea about voter ID and restricting mailing voting as restricting voting. No, our primary mission is we want to make sure that only eligible people are voting. No, there are a lot of people who are attorneys most of the people at the law firm are still there. They didn't quit. They're still clocking in and clocking out every day. And I don't know who Ricky is. I'm not a private immigration attorney. This is the other thing. Peaches, stop making assumptions. Stop making assumptions about things. I never said I was a private immigration attorney. I quit my job as an immigration attorney and I went back to being a business and contract, and now I'm helping somebody with their divorce. So don't put words in people's mouths. Be very careful. Let's see. Freddie, do not say screw you, Ricky. Don't tell anybody to screw you on here. That's not nice. We're trying to keep things civil, and that doesn't help lower the temperature. Donald Trump and Joe Biden have both agreed to lower the rhetoric and lower the name calling and discuss things more politely. Let's try to take their lead, and let's do the same thing here. We're all talking about issues that are important to America and or in the world, wherever you may be. So let's do that politely. All right. Freddie. Finding a job that allows you to do that disrespects all the industries that work 24/7, 365. No, it doesn't. In the military is the world's most 24/7, 365 job. And I spent 9 years in the military. And that job allows me to vote. So any job that doesn't allow you to vote should be ashamed of themselves as a company. That is a horrible, horrible company that does not allow that to happen. 100%. 100%. And it's poor leadership and it's bad CEOs who do not know how to manage resources and human resources and talent well enough to figure out a way to allow their staff to vote. It's not a good argument. And Big Dog said if Trump gets elected, our country goes down a dark road. I disagree. I think Trump and JD Vance will take us down a very bright yellow brick road. And I'm looking forward to that. Similar to the poll tax, which was ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. And Adam, whenever I don't know something, I admit it. I don't know what the poll tax is. I'm sure that was some type of requirement that you vote or you have to pay a poll tax. So agree. I don't agree that it should be required. I think there should be a penalty if you don't vote. As they do have, like I said, what they had in Australia, I think it may be what they have today. I think it's great where if first you get fined and then you lose your driver's license. Titan says, I'm also good with money, fully retired at 58, 4 children through college. My wife is an ophthalmologist that works for herself. Congratulations. I think that's wonderful. I'm glad you're a fully retired individual. I'm glad you have a great father, great wife, and your wife is an ophthalmologist. I think that is wonderful. So I salute you. I have no criticism. I think you're doing great. And Peaches, why should Election Day not be a mandatory holiday? I said to that already. I do think that it should be a day off. I think everybody should be, 100%. And this is why I'm saying I think every company should figure out how to allow every person who works to vote. Whether you're healthcare, whether you're military, it does not matter. Every American should be afforded an easy right to vote on Election Day in person. That's my feeling. Nocturnal, you asked me to go kayak. Oh, I know who you are. Hello, my friend. Now I know who you are. Doesn't matter if a discussion involves handling other options your own during said discussion. Yeah. So, make sure to like and subscribe. Anyway, Nocturnal, good to see you now. And yes, let's go kayaking. That would be fun. Big Dogs in Florida, go like every video. Sir Gator, yes Gator, you don't have the right to tell people what to do. I'm not telling anyone what to do. I'm literally just talking here, and I have no authority to tell anybody what to do. I'm just sharing people my opinion. You guys are sharing your opinions, and you're free to agree or disagree. And my reasoning is the Supreme Court picks coming up. So voting for Biden, whoever replaces him in a month, says Big Dog. I'm not sure if someone is who is going to be retiring soon. Brennan? Big Dog, you can let me know. Who do you think is up for replacement soon? And let's go. Everyone likes to correct the democracy. Republic thing, you're correct. Yep. And how to define educated voters. As I said, people need to be informed about what the heck they're voting for. Even here, I go to Miami Beach sometime and I go on the local votes. And it says, do you support this referendum for blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, I have no idea what the heck this is. There should be a little booklet there or something. Like you should have to know what the heck is on the on the voting rolls. What the heck is being voted on? People just randomly check things. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to vote straight Republican. I'm just going to vote straight Democrat. That is bonkers. Right now, if there is somebody who I don't know, I do not vote for that person. I don't care what that person's political party is. If there is something I don't understand, I don't vote for it. I think I should be required before I go vote to show that I understand what each measure is. But we don't have that, and people vote blindly. Yeah, we have a republic. You can even on our Pledge of Allegiance, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. It's not the representative democracy for which it stands. Electoral College, knew all this. Am I really far behind on the chat, guys? Oh my gosh, I think how much 5% battery? Why not make it a popular vote? No, I explained that why. That's the disaster. The Electoral College is the only way to make this work. Oh my gosh, I'm way behind on this. Electoral College makes one vote in Florida worth more or less than one vote in Kansas. Adam L., read the Federalist Papers by James Madison and read about the tyranny of the majority. Hannity wants to come out and say votes only count if you vote for who I want. Why can't I register and vote through mail in a 4-month window? I'm really behind here. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up on all these chat messages. Both can be done simultaneously. You can make it easier for people to vote while at the same time making it more secure. Adam, I 100% agree with you. And that's what I'm saying. I am all for making voting easier, but only if it does not allow illegal people more access to the voting rolls. If we can make it more easier for every eligible voting American to vote, let's do it. But I will not support that if that is at the expense, if I allow one American to vote, but it allows 2 illegals to vote. I vote that down. No good. Let's see. Nocturnal says, my hospital has 14,000 employees. Changing the shifts is ridiculous. I'm not saying there's not a solution. A voting booth in the hospital is an option, and also voting at night is an option. Maybe so, Nocturnal. Maybe it's a 24-hour voting period. And maybe in these very rare situations where you work in that type of an environment, maybe it needs to be 24-hour voting or a voting booth in the hospital. I don't know. All I'm saying is I don't want to just make voting easier if we do not 100% ensure that only the people who are allowed to vote are allowed to vote. That is basically the summary of my position. Could someone share the time, please, in the chat? Eastern time, Nocturnal. Can you tell me what time it is in Florida? Because I don't know how far behind I am on this chat. There should be an age limit to voting, 25 to 30 plus. That's interesting, Kevin Gonzalez. That's interesting. Yeah, why do you 21 years old to drink alcohol, but you can vote at 18? That's very curious. Titan says we have elected leaders that choose to ignore the ways to strengthen our voting systems because they don't want to commit tax money to make it stronger. You may be right, Titan. I think ensuring our voting system is locked tight should be a number one mission of our elected representatives. I agree. Trump 2024 says surely polling stations are open at times. McDonald's Adler, I have found polling stations open. I remember usually sometimes at 6 a.m. and they go to 9 p.m. I mean, unless someone has a 24-hour shift, I find it very hard. I find it very hard to believe that everybody working in a hospital doesn't vote in America because of this. I'm not saying Nocturnal is wrong. Now I know who it is. I know what this person's job is. But I still think where there's a will, there's a way. Titan Brew had hip surgery, stuck at home recuperating. Well, Titan, I'm hoping you are going to recuperate very quickly. Get back on your feet. and enjoy your retirement. Go play a round of golf, go for a hike, go wakeboarding, go do something fun. Adam, would you be able to help me with a quiet title action in Georgia? I'm self-representing myself. Just want someone to proofread and look over my filings. I will give YouTube lives for free. I'm not doing any legal work for free. Particularly since I am licensed in New York, and that's a Georgia issue, so I wouldn't be able to look over that anyway. I recommend you go to martindale.com, type in Georgia, quiet title attorney, property attorney, and I'm sure you'll be able to find somebody who can help you, Adam. McDonald's Adler, why have dodgy machine voting which can be manipulated? I agree. I don't know why. We should just do in-person paper voting, which worked so well for hundreds of years. There are 2 Monroe Manns on Discord. If that's a problem, someone is probably impersonating me. So maybe we need to fix that. We'll figure that out. Again, somebody put them on. It's 3:56. Yeah, Little Sugar, where do you live? I need time in Eastern time. I don't need time where you guys are. So any of you moderators, when I say what time is it, you need to give me the time where I am. Otherwise, you're just confusing me and not helping. All right, 4:55. Thank you very much. All right, so I'm almost caught up on this live chat. Whoo! This has been crazy. You're an hour ahead. 4 minutes. I have to feed the dog. Yeah, in 4 minutes, I think I'm getting off this live stream. I've been talking a long time here. Sam Gray, I don't know why politics have become so extreme. Sam, I completely agree. Honestly, I think the answer is social media and the internet. Before the internet and social media, the only people you talk with politics were your very, very close friends when you were playing golf. Now, everybody's talking politics on YouTube Live, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. Everything and everybody has an opinion. 25 years ago, we would not know what Donald Trump was thinking on a daily basis. We would not know what AOC is thinking on a daily basis. We would not know what anybody was thinking in politics. Now, every single day, we're just getting an overload of political information every day. And everyone has an outlet. Everybody has a platform. I have a platform here on YouTube Live. You guys have a platform responding here in the chat. I think that's what's happened. It's just that everyone's got an opinion, and it's just gotten brutal because everybody's talking. Would I vote for RFK Jr.? I potentially would. I've looked at a lot of the things that he's talked about, and he seems like a decent guy. And I certainly think he should have Secret Service protection, and I'm kind of appalled that Joe Biden has not given it to him yet. Especially, I said this yesterday, RFK Jr., his father was assassinated, political candidate. His uncle, JFK, was assassinated, the president. Of all people, don't you think that guy should be getting Secret Service protection? Absolutely. Sam says, I'm pretty hard to the left on the spectrum, but I'm a hard libertarian in regards to social aspects. That's where when people ask me, what am I? I'm a registered Republican, but I kind of think maybe I'm more like an independent because I don't agree with a lot of things that Republicans say either. And I think a lot of Republicans are corrupt. I really think we need term limits immediately, and a lot of Republicans don't support that. And I think a lot of Republicans have used their political position to get a lot of wealth in the stock market and elsewhere. So I do support Donald Trump, but it's not because he's a Republican or I'm a Republican. It's just because I think he is a better candidate than Joe Biden. If it were Donald Trump, if it were RFK versus Biden, I would pick RFK. If it were Trump versus RFK, I would pick Donald Trump. And if it were Monroe Mann versus Donald Trump, well, gotta go with this guy. And what is your position on the restriction of access to reproductive rights, abortion care? Oh boy, that's nocturnal. You're asking me tough questions here. I'm generally pro-life. I know we talked about this, and it's a very complicated topic. I think the Supreme Court made the right decision overturning Roe versus Wade because I think it's a state's decision. I don't think the federal government should be making that. I tend to believe that once there is a heartbeat, that is a living being. People often say to me, but someone who's in a coma has a heartbeat too, but that person's a vegetable. And they end up pulling that person off of the life support system. I said, yeah, but many studies have recently shown it's in your best interest to keep someone on life support for as long as you can, because many times they come out of the comas, even after 2 or 3 years. And the other argument I have is the difference is also that a baby inside a womb is every day becoming more and more viable and is becoming more and more of a little human baby. Whereas someone who's in a vegetative state may come back, but may not. So it's a very different situation. And I've also talked to, or at least watched videos, I've talked with one person, and I've watched many videos, of children who are the result of rape, whose mothers thought about aborting them, but then chose not to. And they talk about how grateful that they are that their mother did not give up on them, simply because the father raped them. Because half of that baby is the mother. And I've studied psychology. I have a PhD in psychology. A lot of our upbringing it's not just nature, it's also nurture. That nature versus nurture debate. And a loving mother could bring up a child who's the result of rape in an amazing way. Doesn't mean that child's going to grow up to be a horrible rapist like the father was. With the proper nurture, that baby could grow up to be an amazing, amazing child. And so those are just some of my general thoughts. And again, you're welcome to yours. Sam Gray says, I wouldn't vote for RFK because I'm not for a guy who claimed his brain got seeded by a worm. This is a person with a TBI myself. I totally understand. I still think if you put RFK and Joe Biden on a debate stage, I think RFK would do a better job. I'm not saying this is why Trump, Biden, and RFK, they've all said some strange things. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, thanks Eminem for asking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for clicking like. And remember, you're not liking my political views. You're liking me as an individual, as someone who's just sharing his opinion, someone who I hope you believe respects you for what you're sharing. And also, I do lots of comedy, music, and things like too. I just happen to be doing some of these political things recently because it's the zeitgeist of the last couple of days. And Titan Bruce says, thank you for the well wishes. I'm a straight mulligan of the golf course, but love to fish and scuba dive. Do you like Vreshremi? Most definitely. I don't know where Vreshremi is. 5 p.m. Eastern time. I'm almost caught up. 5 p.m. here in Naples, Florida. 5 p.m. Eastern. All right, I'm almost there. Sam Gray, birth control, I think, should be free or subsidized over the counter. So here's the thing, Sam Gray. I kind of just feel like maybe if you're going to do something like that, the time to do it is in the first few days after you do after you do. But it shouldn't be 6 months afterwards or 7 months. You've had plenty of time to make a decision. I don't think you should be afforded the right to do something like you've had 6 months to decide. No. You need to have that baby at that point. Trying to drink water. I'm gonna leave here and go have some dinner as well. Dinner and some water. I don't know what you mean. Are you the one with the numbers or just Monroe Mann? Sam Gray, that said, I agree. I generally keep my politics to myself. I find it hard to have a conversation with my grandparents. And I don't mind sharing my political thoughts these days. Look at this. I'm sharing it live on YouTube. It's getting recorded, and it's now going to be public on the internet. But I think I'm able to share my thoughts in a little bit more measured way than maybe I was 10 years ago. And so I'm hoping that I can share my opinion without you guys getting too, if you disagree with me, without thinking, getting too wrought up about it. Just as I think I want you to share your opinion here, where I'm not gonna make fun of you or call you stupid because you have your opinions. I mean, we all have our opinions informed by our life experiences and what we've read and what we've heard, and so maybe I'll learn something from you. Maybe you'll learn something from me. Sam goes, let me see. Adam, I would vote for RFK over Trump or Biden. Good for you. That's no problem. And no, Freddie, it's okay. I told her to tell me that because I talk a lot on here and it's important. So please also don't tell the mods what to do, Freddie. I mean, I have talked to them and they kind of have their marching orders and you know, I'm the one who needs to tell them not to do something. I appreciate that Evelyn is looking out for me and asking me to drink. So thank you, Evelyn. And yeah, Titan Brew, there is an overload of political information. True politicians will never be good. Interesting. That's a Machiavellian comment right there, Grizzly Heat. True politicians will never be good. Or maybe true politicians will always be good. Meaning they'll always be good at doing what they need to do to win, but they will not be good in terms of being good people. That's possible. Sam Gray, I'm glad Titan Brew reads the news. Sam Gray says, I can explain the heartbeat part. It's more of a misunderstanding. What you're hearing is a mix of the first electrical pathway and the mother's own heartbeat. Okay, I'll look more into that. Let's see what that has to say. Yeah, I am in biology. I'm in biology 1 right now. I'm scheduled to take biology 2 in the fall. So I'm hoping I'll have even a more informed opinion on all this in the days to come. Skeleton Ted, are you from Monroe, Mr. Mann? There's a Monroe County, I think, in every state in the U.S., but that is not for me. I am not from Monroe County. I'm from Westchester County, New York. New York. Health science degree with a focus on epidemiology, minor in statistics. Very cool. Again, this is the problem with the women's choice thing. It's not just a women's choice. It's the question goes, when does a women's choice end and murder begin? And don't get offended by me saying that. That is precisely the discussion here. At what point is a woman making a choice of her own? And at what point is a woman choosing to actually kill a viable human being? And that's where we have to, and that's what we're trying to find that line. At what point does a woman's choice end and a woman's murder begin, a child's murder begin? All the reasons they need to succeed in life. I want to send you the picture. Nocturnal, I agree with Sam Gray. It's a biological misunderstanding. I've done a lot of studies on it. And I don't think I have people who are telling me, like even my biology teacher telling me that he's 100% certain that evolution is correct. And I keep trying to say it's a theory of evolution, professor. It's not a law. It's not the law of gravity. It's the theory of evolution, which means it is not 100% proven. And they get so upset. And that's the same thing. I haven't found anybody yet who has proven to me that, like I can see. You can see with little sonography. There's a little fetus there. I can see little baby, little arms, little things. To me, that's a human life. And that heartbeat is clearly that little tyke there. Thanks for giving me a subscribe, Sam Gray, and I'm glad we can chat, even though we disagree. I appreciate that. And fetuses are afflicted with many issues. Or I could say some situations are better left unborn. I respect your opinion as certainly know more about the human body than I do, Nocturnal, as an experienced nurse. And I look forward to chatting with that more, and I hope maybe we'll have more discussions here on YouTube Live about this that will and maybe enlighten me, maybe enlighten other people here on YouTube Live, maybe even enlighten you, Nocturnal. All right, I'm trying to get to the bottom here. Keep up the stay. Right, yeah, we're at the bottom. Republicans want to have limited government, but want to restrict medical decisions. Issue something I'd love to see you do a whole live on. I'd happy to do it. Maybe you can. Maybe when we go kayaking, we can discuss the topic of the live stream. Okay, guys, it's been a long time on here. I finally got to the bottom of the live chat. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. I appreciate this. And guys, I want to say really sincerely thank you to all of you because you're helping me get to 3,000 hours of watch time. Yesterday, I got 560 hours. I need to get to 3,000. I think with today's live stream, I think I'll be at 2,000. Maybe I'll get to 3,000 before the end of the month. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Thank you, guys. God bless America. God bless Trump. God bless Biden. God bless RFK Jr. Let's hope no one gets assassinated. Let's hope we have a free and fair election on November 4th. And love you guys too. Thank you so much for your support and help. And see you guys next time. Bye.